We know that education is a predictor for future adult success, yet too many children and foster youth are unable to get this start because of the barriers in our system.
Populations, because of the abuse and neglect of foster youth have experienced in their young lives, they often face physical and emotional challenges that interfere with their learning and negatively impact their educational outcomes.
Foster care programs offer temporary food, housing, and domestic care for children from birth to age 18. The ultimate goal is to reunite a child with his or her family or terminate parental rights so that the child may be adopted.
The basis of entering foster care is that the child has been the victim of some form of abuse or neglect that has caused them to be removed from their home.
Unfortunately, little priority is put on a child's education while he or she is in foster care.
The issue is that when children are involved in the foster care system, there are many unforeseen barriers that interfere with their ability to access the same opportunity as all students.
To try and alleviate this problem, in 2008, the Fostering Connections to Success and Communications Act passed unanimously in both houses of Congress.
And I wrote the Fostering Connections Act, which I authored and passed in the 2008 Congress, with strong bipartisan support with the intent of improving the lives of kids in foster care.
And so we found that to be a tremendous catalyst to across the country to ensure that states were really paying attention to this critical issue of school stability.
It says, quote, that a state welfare agency must coordinate with educational agencies to ensure that a child remain in the schools in which he or she is enrolled at the time of placement.
Although most states have implemented laws or policy to satisfy these requirements, many outside factors are still detrimental to foster care education. Foster care students switch schools frequently, often multiple times a year. Furthermore, the foster care system does not encourage high expectations for their education. Children lack a necessary and consistent educational advocate.
Many schools lack any coordinator or coordinating entity to facilitate cross-agency collaboration to serve the best interests of the child.
On average, children in foster care move 1 or 2 times a year. An estimated 2/3 to 3/4 of children and youth who enter the foster care system must change schools.
What we found was that kids constantly were moved and their records were lost. There were long delays.
By the time I reached 18 years old, I had lived in 35 places. I had 18 social workers, and my name changed 4 times.
I don't have a lot of friends in school because I move around so much. In the past year, I have been to like 3 different schools, 4 different schools actually.
That my senior year of high school, I had to take night classes 3 days a week just to graduate on time, along with a part-time job and going to school during the day. And I also had to do summer school every single year to catch up to my peers.
One study found that, by the 6th grade, students who had changed schools 4 or more times had lost approximately 1 year of educational progress. A study of 4,500 foster children in Washington State public schools found that children placed in foster care scored 16% to 20% below non-foster children on state standardized tests. Foster children typically end up missing school because of the poor coordination or lack of communication between child welfare, school personnel, and caretakers. They responded that they would have benefited from stronger adult encouragement. Other studies suggest that foster care students are less likely to do their homework, receive help with schoolwork, enroll in college preparatory courses, receive a high school diploma, or participate in post-secondary education. Finally, students in foster care receive inadequate life skills training, which can lead to problems later in life.
And then you get to a point where you're 18 years old and they say, okay, you're done. And then you're out on the streets and it's over with. And you have to learn how to do everything. I couldn't even write a check.
I just feel like I've had to grow up really fast, and a lot of the kids in my high school really don't understand a lot of the things that I go through.
Adults who were formerly in foster care are more likely than the general population to be homeless, unprepared for employment and limited to low-skilled jobs, and dependent on welfare or Medicaid. They are also more likely to be convicted of crimes and incarcerated, to succumb to drug and alcohol abuse, or to have poor physical or mental health. Those in opposition of changing the foster care education system argue that there are already scholarships in place that benefit the students in need. For example, since 2000, Casey Family Scholars have administered nearly $13 million in Casey Family Scholarships to 1,240 former foster youth, with 807 graduates to date. Other scholarships aimed towards foster students are the Jack Pollock Scholarship, the Armstrong Family Foundation Scholars Program, and the Maine Tuition Waiver Program for foster and adopted children. Regardless of how these scholarships may help foster children, they still need someone to motivate them and better communication between the school and the care providers that will ensure that they will not fall behind in school.
Educating the children of our nation is important. We need to focus on educating children in foster care, as their education is just as important as kids out of care. They deserve stability, support, and an educational advocate.
So it is clear to us that sort of experience in the foster care system is equating to poor educational outcomes, and that's really the intent of all the changes in law, federal, state, local, to really say what can we do to change that data, change that outcome, and really put kids on the same trajectory as kids in care. We should